Hello, get back to my channel. Today we learn on topic on Perthes disease. It is an ortho condition. Has the Perthes disease, it is characterized by avascular necrosis of the femoral head. It means there is an insupply blood to the femoral head, and the exact cause is unknown. But there might be disturbance to the blood supply is thought to be the main cause, as I repeated. Next, the disease is self-limiting in nature and the head is revascularized and hardens. It never regains your normal shape, and the whole process taken place in about 2 to 4 years. And the epidemiology, the disorder of the hip is young children 4 to 8 years, and the causes, it may due to avascular necrosis, as can be eaten by your macrophages, and occurs due to the hypertrophy of articular cartilage, thrombosis or trauma. There might be any revascularization and formation of new bone. And the evolution of the disease. So these are the stages of avascular necrosis. Then it comes to your revascularization or fragmentation. It undergoes the third stage of healing, ossification, and then remodeling stage or residual stage. This is the disease getting evolved. Next, there are some of the complaints or the presentation or the clinical features. The main are pain in hip and walks with a lip, and all movements are hip or limited, especially abduction and your medial rotation. While you are going for a physical examination, there will be a decreased range of motion in abduction and medial rotation. Your Trendelenburg test will be positive. It means standing on one side, your pelvis will be dropping on the opposite side. So this shows that there will be a Trendelenburg, and there will be a muscular atrophy of the thigh or a buttocks or calf region. Also, there will be a limb length discrepancy. There will be true length and apparent length. True length shows from the AIS to the medial malleolus, and the apparent from xiphisternum to the medial malleolus or umbilicus to the medial malleolus. And your differential diagnosis is your unilateral bilateral. If there is a unilateral, there will be a TB of hip, synovitis, lymphoma, eosinophilic granuloma. There will be a bilateral hypothyroidism, spondyloepiphyseal dysplasia, sickle cell disease. If you go and check your radiographic changes, there will be a change in your metaphyseal. That may be hyperemia and osteoporosis, and there will be a cystic changes on the bone. And if there is any changes in the physis, there will be abnormal growth and premature closure, leads to a short and wide neck of the femoral head. There is a classification, Calderon classification, as there are 4 stages. As you can see in this picture, AP view and lateral view. What in this? The grade 1 shows anterior part of head is involved, and there will be no collapse, there will be no metaphyseal change, but the healing occurs naturally. If we talk about grade 2, there will be an increase in density and the metaphyseal changes will be starts but no epiphyseal plate. In grade 3, metaphysis is involved and 3/4 of epiphyseal plate is damaged and the prognosis is poor. And the grade 4, whole epiphysis and the metaphysis is damaged. Next, your greater trochanter. It is elevated proximally due to the retardation of your longitudinal growth of femoral neck, and the abductor is in insufficiency. As there is a sagging rope or a sign, it is a rope like radiodense lining over the proximal femoral metaphysis, which you can be seen in the intertrochanteric area. When coming into the PT management, the actual main goal, it is used to the regaining the maximum range of motion at the affected hip side, along with the strengthening of your muscles by physically independently. There will be a reduction of muscular spasm, pain, and inflammation. As the disease is mainly the evolving of the spasm, it can be controlled by your cryotherapy technique or moist heat, with leg is maintained in traction and gentle toe movements. And you need to do the maintaining the range of motion. Full range of motion of hip will be extension, abduction, internal rotation. As these movements get adapted to resting posture, and the posture get adapted to the shortening of the muscles, and there will be a lengthening of your opposite side of groups of muscles. For example, to maintain range of motion, if your limb is flexed, so that there will be an elongated to the extensor group of muscles, so we can use the splint to maintain the hip in range of your abduction, extension, and internal rotation. How to the prevention of contractures? Has there a tendency to develop your flexor tightness, and the flexion contracture at hip will be common, and this complicates gait and ambulation when the child is allowed to the some bed waiting. So therefore, you need to have proper gait to avoid the flexion contracture at the hip. So this is the main can be effective by force of gravity and some tolerable weight. Next, how to increase the muscle strength? Yes, you can do exercises of active assisted, active exercises, eccentric, isometrics to the abductors and extensors of the hip, quadriceps, hams, dorsiflexors, plantar flexors, intrinsic muscles of foot. So these are the muscles you can be strengthened up. So the total lower limb you need to be strengthening up. And the ambulation involves initially the child is not allowed to weight bearing, since your leg is immobilized in a POP cast or abduction splint, and thereof non-weight bearing standing and walking or talking your parallel bars. So this is the main. The therapist must be made the patient to be walkable in parallel bars, and there will be also progression to walker and axillary crutches. This allows ambulation, non-weight bearing on the affected leg. Next, a manual distraction. The patient will be in supine and the therapist will be standing, and it helps in relieving the pain and stiffness of your affected hip side. There will be a long axis distraction can be applied. As supine, affected leg will be abducted and slightly flexed. There will be a distraction is applied to the affected leg by grasping at the ankle and pulling at the down. That is inferior direction, as you can see in this picture. So there are some of the special braces for weight bearing. Special brace, there is Scottish Rite brace, which allows your flexion of your hip joint. It will be maintained in your abduction, as you can see in this picture. As there also a broomstick plaster, which can maintain your hip abduction 30 degrees, 20 degrees internal rotation, and 15 degrees of flexion. On removal of splint or any POP cast or any brace that is supportive to the lower limbs, you can do your active mobilization and progression from your passive movements. Even you can do hydrotherapy exercises. And what is the PT management following the surgery? There is a FVO, femoral varus osteotomy. As you can see in this picture, there are some of the femoral varus osteotomy. So what happens in this? It means there is a surgical procedure to this. It allows better containment of femoral head within the stabulum. So after surgery, your limb will be immobilized in a hip spica for at least 6 weeks, and the physiotherapy you can be continued after 6 weeks. So you can do your toe movements, isometrics of hip and knee muscles of affected side. You can allow to do the CPM, continuous passive motion, immobilization, and the strengthening of the lower limb muscles. And after the 6 weeks, the patient must be going ambulation. This is a femoral varus osteotomy. Thanks for watching SPM.